It's a Friday. I was sick. I wasn't feeling well. And I knew Chelsea was coming over, and we hadn't seen each other in a week because I was sick, and I didn't want to get Chelsea sick.
And I didn't want to get sick.
And didn't want to get sick. And I'm like, hey, Chelsea, my room's kind of a mess because I've been sick. Come over a little later. And she's just like, I'm already at your house. I'm sleeping. Because I hadn't gotten off work yet. And so she's just sleeping. And I come home, I open up the door to my room, and like, she's literally on the ground. There's a bag of chips, and there's chips on the ground. And
I'm not
like,
great at getting things to my mouth.
it was like a little drunk raccoon broke into my house and started eating all my goddamn chips and spreading them on the floor. Oh my god.
Speaking of, do you have any chips I can steal?
No. You ate them. I need to go get more chips. And so, we went out and got pizza. While I was getting pizza, I got a message from Jethro Reading, who wrote a story, apparently, is in the process of writing a story inspired by the first story I ever narrated. Trailer, the story I wrote. And he said that this is loosely inspired by that. And so we are going to take a look at this story, read it, see what it's got going on. This is still a work in progress, allegedly, so we're going to see what this has. It's entitled Summer Rewind. And it starts off saying, summer. It kind of reminds me of Last of Us. It's summer.
Right.
You want to start us off?
I miss the dry, lethargic heat of summer. Not that it's not been hot recently. I mean, this past year was a record heat wave across most of Europe, but it doesn't feel like it used to. Maybe it's just because I'm older now and the days are busier and shorter, but there's this certain long, dull tiredness that I don't seem to feel nowadays when summer reaches its apex.
Okay, so this is going to take its time to actually get into what's going on, but the general feeling is like dry, lethargic feeling. I like that the story isn't bombastic at the beginning. It's downplaying what might happen later.
It's very Last of Us.
Is it?
I mean, Last of Us just starts off in a house.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a weird pool, but okay.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I've always associated that feeling with church. My family wasn't particularly religious, but every year they'd send me to a local Christian holiday club for the first week of summer. I suspect it was as much for the free daycare as it was for any spiritual reason, but that's besides the point. So that's...
What is a Christian holiday club?
Some European bullshit. Our author is from the UK.
Yeah.
And so there's probably going to be nostalgic trappings here that aren't necessarily relatable to an American, to a North American.
I don't know. Maybe it's like church camp, though.
Local holiday club. Oh man, it's always a struggle for fucking British accents.
Just it's pronounced Cache.
It's pronounced Cache. The I do like that the word choice has been very nice so far, in that we've gotten some nice crunchy words and crunchy sentence structures like free daycare, like Christian holiday club. Really just even like small word choices like that.
Like apex.
Yes.
Strong mouthfeel.
Pulling, and it's very important that if you're writing a story that's supposed to be realistic, that's supposed to be Ashcan horror, that you do get variety in there to break up all of the silly sight words that you need to have, like I've and my, like having Christian holiday club. That's a fun noun, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I won't name the club, but if you care enough to find out, there aren't many large organizations of its kind in the UK. So if you look through local news...
It's the Church of England.
Is it?
No, I'm just...
So if you look through local news, it shouldn't be too hard to find. Myself and my 3 older brothers each, in turn, went to it in a small town in Buckinghamshire called Greater Midden. Greater Midden. It was perfectly nestled among the chalk hills and beech woods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah.
A postcard perfect remnant of that old English life you only see in Constable paintings. Despite having since lost my faith, my memories of the holiday club and those warmer summer days stick in my mind as some of the best and happiest of my childhood. Having said that, though, I have one memory that doesn't fit into that mold. The summer of July 2016. 2006 is what I'm trying to say.
I love...
And failing.
So we were just reading Mr. Widemouth and talking about how you need to plagiarize it.
Right.
And then in the third paragraph of Mr. Widemouth, they're like, and there are some things that belong in the attic of my mind, memories, blah, blah, blah.
You know,
and
I
then we
feel
hear,
like I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, we were drunk, but still. Having that, though, I have one memory that doesn't fit into the mold. Yeah, that's good. Like an out-of-place memory.
Yeah, I love the British spelling of mold there. Very applicable.
Wait, what?
What?
Is there an English? Oh, no, I guess, yeah, there is an
Yeah.
English spelling of mold.
Yeah.
I just read that very naturally. That's how...
Yeah, that's the English spelling of mold.
I do love that there's an episode of Frasier where he gets kicked out of, like, this English expat club. Like, people who are English who live in America, they have, like, their own little special pub for just them. And Frasier gets kicked out of it, and he's like, you can't kick me out, I spell color with a U.
Yeah. Good show.
But, so you were saying Yaya there, and Yaya is from Devil May Cry 4, because when
if
I played
anybody
it,
doesn't know the reference of Yaya.
I was playing Devil May Cry 4 for years, and, like, I didn't notice that when
So
Nero
we decided to
grabs...
play it together.
Yeah.
Because
why
if
not?
I played it, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
It didn't stick with me if I ever played it on my own. But the first thing I noticed was Nero says Yaya.
Every time you do, like, the devil grab thing, he goes, Yaya.
Yaya.
And so...
So it's just become a thing. It's a thing now.
No, but, like, you said that you started saying it at work, and now your coworkers are saying it without understanding?
Yes, it's great. It's spreading.
Oh, boy. Yaya.
Yaya. Spread it. Spread the Yayas, everyone.
I was about 7 or 8, and I particularly remember the journeys to the Greater Midden that year. It had been a long, roasting summer, the kind that bakes farms down to little more than tender, brown scrub fields. We hadn't lived in Greater Midden. We didn't live in Greater Midden. My parents had settled down in
Lesser Midden.
Yes, in Lesser Midden. And then they went into even smaller Midden. In an even smaller, less affluent village, maybe halfway between there and the Wearbridge, a decade before my birth. About 20-minute car journey between home and the club took us through the ancient beechwoodland and rolling hills of South Buckinghamshire. That week, the dense haze of summer stuck low to the ground. Streams that usually sparked through the woods by the road were dried either into muddy beds cracked like glazed porcelain,
No.
or long puddles of rancid, stagnant muck that buzzed beneath clouds of mosquitoes and midges? I don't even know. What is all this There's so much British here.
It's dropping British all over the place.
You just take out your flashlight and throw it over. Oh, what's that? As a torch. I remember how the peak dark water was. Peat dark. I was about to say. I'm like, what?
I know that word.
Yeah. Was obscured by cloying algae.
All right, Forrest. You said that like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, blanketed the surface. The tar on the road surface bubbled up beneath us. There's a lot of great scene setting here. I do wonder if we need all of that.
I like it. It's very novel-esque.
It is. So I guess the question then is, what is the goal? Is the goal to be more realistic, or is the goal to be more novelesque? And
it's like the difference between the online posted version of Pen Pals and the released version of Pen Pals.
Yeah, so which direction do you want to go in there? I am partial to the original Pen Pals.
I like both.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying. Bearing all of that in mind, all of it is great words, great imagery. I'm invested in this.
Yeah. I like the way it's written. I can see it visually in my head.
Yes.
So I really like it because of I can still recall my mom's arm hanging out of the driver's
My mums.
me mom's arm hanging out of the driver's side window, the roaring AC and the wind from the car's rush through the forest failing to cool us. It could be worse, she said. She pointed out a low smear of dark on the horizon, just visible past the trunks of passing beeches and the odd pine. There was a gorse fire about 10 miles away, near Prince's Ridgeboro, that a girl and her parents had been caught in. Only the daughter had survived.
There had been concern over whether the holiday club would go ahead that year. The club usually consisted of perhaps 200 kids doing art.
That's about 300 kids less than what's written there.
Why did I say 200? Maybe I'm so dyslexic that the 5 flipped into a 2 in my head.
I don't know. Or maybe you just want like 300 less kids in this club.
Yeah. 500 kids doing art, crafts, drama, cookery. Cookery?
Cookery. The act of doing the cookings.
Okay. All right. Cookery. They're cooking with kukris.
Yes.
And other stuff spread across a half dozen marquees and tents in the town's large central park. That is a lot of fucking kids, okay? I need you to understand. I don't know if this is inspired by something real. It sounds like this is something real.
Yeah, this seems pretty realistic.
That this is pulling from some real memories to horrify them and artitize them a little bit. But 500 kids, I hope you realize how many fucking kids that is. That's a lot of kids.
That's like about 500 too many kids.
For scale, like 500 kids.
For scale, one child is about 3 feet tall.
For scale, and weighs about 80 pounds. No, like
No, imagine 500 of
those. For scale, you need about maybe one adult for every 15 kids.
I was gonna say for every 8 kids, because I don't trust children.
So, like, just to give you an idea of the infrastructure involved with 500 kids, that's a lot of kids. But I don't know what UK, summer programs look like. I just know what the summer camp program I work at looks like. Prayers bookended the day in the morning and evening, with a sermon somewhere in the middle. Overall, it was good. Clean week of Christian fun. It was a good, clean week of Christian fun. Without any real protection from the heat wave, though. Anxious parents had worried about sticking their children outside for so long, and attendance took up a little bit of a hit that year. These fears were mostly unfounded, though, as the whole operation went smoothly. So that is a big shift that has happened. We do have a lot more concerns about letting our kids even be outside now. With all of the non-existent child predators out there. Just like, there's a child predator around every corner. And that's why people like me...
Is that why people don't let their children out now?
I think it's because of the
I don't keep up with child politics.
I think it's because of the news telling people that everything is dangerous around every corner and you can't let your kids outside.
Okay.
But if it bleeds, it leads, and if it's a pedophile, it makes national news. So
for about, 3 days?
Yes, I mean, like...
3 to 5 days.
I also don't know what the UK is like. But then again, also the heat wave and stuff like that, parents are a lot more persnickety about that. I am a very indoorsy person, but I spent a lot of time outside when I was a kid.
I did too.
So that's
I hated other children.
Yeah. And this is kind of like happening, this is in the UK, but at least in America, this is happening about the time when that discussion is really starting to happen. Because growing up...
Oh, yeah, because 2006.
2006. So, like, for me, when I was little, it was, like, completely like, no, you just go outside.
Yeah, it was the 90s, like, just get out of the house.
Yeah.
Just be back by sundown.
Yeah, and then it was literally that. And then now to 2018, where it's just like, let your kids outside for 20 minutes.
And
just to let them
CPS on you.
Yeah, let them outside for 20 minutes to go pee and do their business, and then you pick up their poop, and then you take them back inside. They're inside kids.
And they have leashes.
Yes.
The only major change to plans that the staff enacted was a cancellation of the outdoor games, for obvious reasons. This was instead replaced with free time. On the surface, this sounded good. An extra 50 minutes for the kids to play together and make friends. It wasn't that simple, though. There was no space in any of the tents for the 80-odd kids who were assigned to free time per slot, so instead they had to cluster around the few trees that the kids were allowed to sit around.
This is a very important thing in childcare, having that structure, because, like, you need a certain amount of free time, a certain amount of structured time, a certain amount of structured activity, because if you don't get them into a schedule, they just go haywire.
They implode.
Yeah, they really do. The club was held across the 5 days of the working week with a family church service on the Sunday. And by the Thursday, us kids were getting bored and whiny, and the group leaders, a couple of 15-year-olds, tackled with controlling a dozen irritated children, were getting snappy in response. To make things worse, our slots for free time were all in the afternoon, and the hottest part of the day. So I'm guessing that this is a summer camp, like where they're staying there, right?
Yeah, this sounds like this is basically just a summer camp.
Okay.
Christian summer camp.
Yep, that's a...
Did you ever go to those?
No, my parents aren't religious, so they wouldn't send me that kind of shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my parents, I always had, one working parent, so I always had someone to take care of me.
Okay,
Big mama's boy, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The park was bordered on one side by the town and the main road, while the other end of it disappeared into a thicket of woods, which us kids were absolutely forbidden from exploring. I remember vaguely that there was a stream in the woods, though, and thought I had wandered off to take a look. Blah, blah, blah.
Wandered off?
This was a bad idea to do without water.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm naked, by the way, because it's fucking hot in here, because the weather can't decide.
It was snowing 2 days ago, and now it's like almost, 65 or 70?
It's 65 degrees outside.
It's great. Ohio.
I want to go outside and be naked, because it's fucking hot.
Welcome to Ohio. It's 65 in December. Just in time for my birthday.
Yes.
Let's see here. Where even
To be honest.
Huh?
To be honest.
To be honest? To be honest about what?
TBH.
Oh, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure why I did that nowadays. I was usually a fairly rule-abiding child, and I knew I'd get in trouble if I left the group. But something just pulled me into that shaded corpse of beech and pine. Copse?
Copes.
Copesies?
Coochie-copy? I don't know what that word is. And I'm not going to Google it because I don't have British Google.
I was going to say Bing it.
I don't have British Bing.
Alright, give me a second.
Okay. But
I'll phone it.
This is a important thing of having establish what kind of character our child has in this scenario, that they are a rule-abiding child, and that there is some sort of otherworldly pull to whatever this is.
It just means a small group of trees.
Okay.
It's like calling 4 crows a murder.
Murder. It's called a murder. The counselors, distracted by their own gossip and drama, didn't notice me toddle away and duck under the red and white tape that bordered the grounds. No one watched me as I slipped into the cool embrace of shadows, embracing shadows of those decades-old trees. I don't remember how far I walked. I suppose it can only have been 10-15 minutes, but it felt longer. Twigs and dry leaves rustled and snapped under my feet like bones of small animals.
Eventually, I reached a dry... Oh god, I can't read when you do that.
She can't read when I'm fingering.
When you're fingering the mouse
like when I'm fingering the mouse.
Eventually, I reached a dry stream bread. A dry stream
Let's
bread.
get this stream bread.
Eventually, I reached a dry stream bed and smelt. Oh god.
He who knelt it smelt it better because he was at waist height.
Knelt down to inspect it. There, among the leaf litter and
hummus? Hummus.
I mean, that's not like chickpea hummus, though, because that has 2 M's.
Why? What? Hummus?
I don't know. I'm not British. Let me look this up.
When you go into British woods, like, is the ground just coated in leaf litter and hummus?
If it is, can I move there?
You want to eat hummus with leaves in it? First of all, hummus is
the organic component of soil formed by the decomposition of leaves and other plant material by soil by microorganisms.
Is this a Britishism or an uncommon word, an uncommon term?
Why not both?
I think it might be both.
Why not both? Let's see here. Hummus that had dried into the stream since it had dried up was the papyrus dry corpse of a stickleback, blind idiot eye gazing back at me. Looking up, I saw a structure on the other side of the stream. Almost said bread again. Stream bed, and walked towards it. I remember feeling an unlikely shiver creep slowly, menacingly, up from the back of my back. Up from the back of my small.
Yes. If you see the word bed and you autocorrect it to bread, then you're hungry. If you see the word bread and you autocorrect it to bed, then you're sleepy.
Yeah.
So you're hungry, apparently.
Yeah, well, this cute trash panda wants some more chips.
I love Stickleback. It's like the British cover band of Nickelback.
Yeah.
Oh, man. If I could do a British accent, I would do British Nickelback, but I can't. So there you have it.
Somebody do it for us.
Yes, somebody cover Nickelback with like a really, really severe Cockney accent.
And change the words around to be more British.
Never made it as a pauper.
I was thinking of, look at this photograph. Whatever song that is.
Yeah, I don't know
Look at this graph.
Graph? What's British about... Oh my god. It was a play park. I couldn't guess how long it had been since it saw attention from the council. Years by the looks of things. A rustled carousel sat motionless.
Rustled?
A rusted carousel, there we go. Stained by the pigeons that sat in the bows above it. A miniature obstacle course, frayed ropes and metal bars coated in flaked red and green paint. Led to a plastic slide that I see it said flakes of paint, and then I saw the word lead, and I'm like, oh yeah, this kid's gonna eat some lead paint chips.
Yeah, do it, kid.
It's good for you. Led to plastic slide that had bleached into a sickly salmon over a salmon rushdie over 4,000 sunny days. The plastic stank of urine and fox musk. This is a great paragraph.
It is.
A lot of good crunchy stuff. Miniature obstacle course, sickly salmon, bleached color, 4,000 sunny days. You're like, 4,000? Oh yeah, I guess it would be 4,000 sunny days, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of. I like this. So this is like they're saying play park, but the American version of that is playground.
Yeah. And
so this is a playground that has been lost to time.
My only question would it be a plastic slide or would it be a metal slide? Because I know for our old playgrounds, it used to be all metal slides.
Well,
up until the last few years where they got replaced by plastic slides.
Jethro Reading might know about that because I have mentioned as much in just passing about that kind of stuff, and have mentioned that the neighborhood I live in has a bunch of weird hidden playgrounds. Right. And so I think that this might have inspired this story as well as trailer. So anyway. Chelsea's burping.
Had to
having
my
a burp.
chips. The chips that I need to eat.
Kingdom Hearts 3, birthed by chip burps.
There was a growing sense of unease gnawing its way out of my reptile brain. A part of me desperate to leave the place and flee back to the safety and boredom of free time. I couldn't, though. I've always been something of a curious kid. Free time.
I like that free time is capitalized.
Yeah, I know, right? It's great. Too curious. Many a frustrated teacher would tell you. There was still one more thing that had to be seen. At the center of the play park was a playhouse.
You said it wrong.
What?
Centre.
At the centre of the play park was a playhouse shaped
I need
like
the Villabouts of the play park.
At the center of the play park was a playhouse shaped like a rocket. Fiberglass and rusted metal, its outside carried a once carefully applied patchwork of black, blue, and yellow squares. The perspex windows were fogged with time and layers of mossy grime. Inexplicable trepidation set my heart into thudding spasms, like the slapping of a fish against the forest floor as it drowned in the air. I approached the craft and entered through a small hatch in the bottom.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We have liftoff.
We have lift. Do you want to Google what Perspex is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do that.
It took a second for my eyes to adjust, and when they did, I saw what, somehow, I'd really been expecting to find there. In this strange abandoned play park, in the back end of a quiet woodland park, in the heart of the country, there was, of course, nothing.
So
Nothing!
Perspex is the same material as plexiglass, but it is trademarked.
Okay.
Plexiglass is trademarked.
Okay. Plexiglass.
No, plexiglass is the thing that is not trademarked. Perspex is trademarked.
Okay, gotcha.
Although maybe plexiglass is also...
Plexiglass?
Plexiglass. Maybe that is also trademarked, and my Google search first item just isn't showing it.
Okay.
Nothing.
Nothing. A low bench ran around the circular interior, and on the floor were discarded beer bottles, cigarette butts, and even a couple condoms.
Is the Forest Porn Mag in here?
Yeah, give us the Forest Porn Mag. I, of course, didn't recognize them as such at the time. It was up to my ankles in leftovers from the rebellious, middle-class youths of Greater Midden. The shaft of sun caught on the thick dust and haze within the rocket, came in through the glazed window, and left a golden coin of light on the opposite bench. Cobwebs and dirt masked the ceiling, and in the corner, a fat black spider sat in its cotton wool web, waiting with glossy menace.
So, I know you didn't finish Bloodborne, but there's, do you know about Patches?
No.
I guess Patches is in other Souls games, and Patches is also in Bloodborne. But Patches just has his face put onto a giant spider. So I'm just imagining Patches from Bloodborne as this fat black spider in the corner, being like, hey kid, hi.
I like that they have, that there's up to their ankles in condoms and cigarette butts.
Right.
It's a lot of
That's a lot of condoms, a lot of cigarette butts.
A lot of upper class,
middle class beer bottles.
Middle class beer bottles.
I wonder what middle class beer bottles
You put the condoms on the beer bottles.
I wonder what they look like over in England, because here it's what, like Budweiser?
Yeah, I don't know what they're like. Huh. If you're British, leave a comment down below of what your equivalent to Bud Light is.
Yeah.
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 Because I don't know what it would be. I don't know what their go-to mass-produced beer is. It's probably still Bud Light.
Maybe. I don't know. I
think they would. I mean, I'm sure that
Maybe it's Guinness.
I doubt that. That's a higher class beer.
Is it?
Yeah, that's not a lower class beer. That's a middle class beer.
Well, I mean, we're looking for middle class though.
True. Oi. All this Guinness. They're drinking Foster's. It's Australian for beer.
Yes. The sense of unease ebbed. I'd been silly. I remember relief flooding me as I realized that...
Relief flooding me as it flooded into the condoms.
Yes. I remember relief flooding me as I realized the mundanity?
Mundanity.
Of the situation. There were plenty of places like this, I told myself. 100 little areas that had fallen by the wayside, probably in the country alone. I'd allowed myself to get spooked, and even laughed at myself as I stepped back out of the playhouse and onto the welcoming soil of the forest floor.
It was then that I heard a high elf
A high elf?
It was then that I heard a high, life-shattering wail. It was the banshee scream of a child.
I stumbled through those woods for hours, seeing nothing but 1,000 reaching identical trees through the veil of tears that covered my eyes. In the distance I heard more screams, then sirens, then a stunned silence that seemed to smother my surroundings. Even the birds seemed, in my panic, too scared to make a noise. I was finally found by a member of staff around 8 p.m. who took me, still crying, to my mum, who sat in the club's HQ tent with a police officer, her eyes raw with crying. She enveloped me in a hug and scolded me for running off. It wasn't until we were safely in the car a couple hours later, wending our way back along those country lanes, through those forests that loomed and lengthened in the evening that I asked my mum, what happened back in Greater Midden.
She stopped the car and stared straight ahead, seeing nothing. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. I looked out the window at the woodlands stained blood red with the setting sun as my mum told me the story, her voice cracking up with tears. A 6-year-old from the Christian club, crossing the street to go to the toilet in the nearby cafe, had been struck by a speeding SUV on the main road. He was dead by the time the ambulance had arrived. All right. So I like that it didn't end in exactly the same way that it did in Trailer. If you haven't listened to Trailer, I'll just leave a link down in the comments below. Well, I guess the story isn't made public yet. But, so bearing that in mind, this is a slightly different ending, and I think it's a significantly different ending to be its own story.
Right.
And so I'm very happy to see that it is, I always encourage plagiarism, but this is plagiarized in a unique way from, it's the formula, but it's one expanded on, and two has, different, what's the term I'm looking for? Different punchline.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I'd like to read more because this was really good. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Chips.
That's all you think about. Do you just love me for the chips?
You always have chips.
I do always have chips.
This is the one place where I can get my chip fix.